War Eagle Auburn family, and welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live, where we get together and we sit down and we talk about what's going on in the world of the Auburn family spectrum. We're always heavy on the sports here on this channel, but if it's orange and blue, it is what we do. Thank you for joining us, whether you're watching live or on the replay. We appreciate you spending even just a small amount of time with us to hang out with us and talk about what we love about the Auburn Tigers. On this live stream, we're going to be talking about we're going to be talking about how the Auburn Tigers escaped out of Missouri with a win by the score of 55-54. And I got something to tell you guys in just a second about my experience of watching this and how I was a little bit confused and a little bit dismayed at the end of that. But we're going to be talking about that, reacting to it. I want to hear your thoughts, your reactions to all of the things that happened in this game or didn't happen in this game. That's what's on tap for tonight. A lot of your comments and questions. Also, whenever I have the headphones on, that means phone lines are open for a certain group. Tonight, though, it is just our Booster Club members. Just putting a reminder down below that if you are a Booster Club member, you can go to the link provided in the Patreon app or the Booster Club app, whichever way you want to call it, and check that out there. And you can call in tonight if you'd like to. Wednesday nights are our everybody call-in show, so don't fret. If you're wanting to call in tonight, you can call in tomorrow night. Everybody can. So with that being said, other things that we'll talk about throughout the stream tonight are our Booster Club, ways you can get involved if you'd like to do all that stuff. But mainly right now, it's just about us trying to come to grips with what has happened tonight in Missouri. As you're coming into the stream, a lot of you have already done so. Please do make sure you smash that like button if you enjoy this type of content. But also, please do post where you're watching from, city, state, international with a War Eagle. Want to know where you are watching from, how you're joining us tonight. Like to see where the spread of the Auburn family is each of these streams that we do. All right, 55-54. You didn't think it was going to be easy, did you, Auburn family? Certainly isn't. When you are number one, you are truly the only one that everyone is headhunting. And not that I'm the only one that said this, but I hope that you all were listening when I said, don't think past this Missouri team. They have taken down teams they weren't supposed to already, and they had even more of a reason to take down Auburn tonight, being ranked number one, give them a little shut-up juice, as everybody wants to give us these days. But alas, they come up just a point short, and they don't get to ruin our joy, at least for the foreseeable future. Now, they can affect us in terms of how pollsters and all that stuff perceive us, but we can touch on some of that as we'll go throughout the stream tonight. I'm all choked up about it. Excuse me. It was a bit of a rough night tonight. I was probably screaming a little bit too much. All right, let me catch up on some comments real quick, see who's all here in the chat, say hello to some of you guys. We'll address some of your initial comments, and then I'll kind of tell you the weird thing that happened for me at the end of this game while I was watching it and why I about had a heart attack. And I was literally like shaking because I thought something bad had happened. Anyway, let's see who's all here. Leanne's here, just screaming KD. We got Roe from Enterprise checking in. Devin, of course, is singing Katie's praises. Played bad and still won, Ricky says. I would agree that we did play subpar. I don't know that you can count a win as playing bad, but playing below what we should have. Yes, that is, I 100% agree with that. When you're ranked number one, Rose says, teams are wanting to beat you. Got to be prepared. I don't know what I just watched. Cohen's here. Good to see you. Got to pass the ball around more, too much one-on-one and not enough going inside and out. Had several wide open threes, but didn't pass it back down or back out. A lot of people talking about their hearts racing and all that kind of stuff. I'm right there with you. Bruton, Troy, Houston, Texas checking in. Everybody from across the land. At least we know we're ready for March Madness. Yes, think about it that way. So if you're, but here's the thing: you're an Auburn fan. Doesn't matter what the sport is. We just make our hearts race for no reason. We call ourselves the Cardiac Cats for a reason. You should be used to March Madness type of fever any day of being an Auburn fan. So, but yes, in terms of getting us prepped for this season, that is probably the case. I'm going to just listen. I couldn't get the game. It was if you couldn't get it, you didn't miss much in terms of frustrations and things like that. But it certainly was it was entertaining, just not the entertaining that we wanted to have. A lot of people checking in tonight. Not number one play, Linda says. I would agree. We did not appear like the number one team tonight. That's not necessarily that's not a wrong statement. I mean, if you're the number one team in the land, you're supposed to beat a team like Missouri, even as good as they've been lately, by at least some margin. 1 point is not going to service that. James, one of our channel members here, says, I know we didn't play like the number one team. We're going to get everyone's A game. We shot terribly and still won the game. That's the bigger story. War Eagle. I agree. So what I don't want to happen in a stream like this is us just sugarcoat everything, but I also don't want us to just be negative and, we sucked it up tonight and all that stuff. But we can balance both sides of that equation and still have an honest conversation. It seems like that's where everybody's head's at is right now, which is good to see for everybody, because this it was a little touch and go there for a second. Josh, thank you so much for the super chat. You are a true, just thank you. I can't even get my words out, but thank you so much for that super chat and your comment. War Eagle squeaky or not, we will take it. A lot of people echoing this same sentiment of not playing like a number one rate, but we came out with the win. I think there's a lot of thankful Auburn fans tonight just to get out with the win tonight. At least we got our worst offensive game behind us. Can't get much worse. You say that. I've seen worse before. I have seen worse. And yes, Katie, you love him. Sometimes he frustrates you, but man, when he comes in the clutch, he comes in the clutch. I'll take the W, but we have to realize that being number one also brings even bigger target. Absolutely. And if that was any question after tonight, you are now assured of that. Bo, I thought this well. And so let's give some credit to Missouri first off. I want to make sure we do that when it's warranted. Now, when you're playing a team like Georgia, who just beat Alabama, they're the worst. They're one of the worst SEC teams that I've seen in quite some time, and Alabama got beat by them. Now, that's not to say that we won't miraculously get beat by them too at some point, and I'll be eating my own words. But I digress. Look, Missouri has, as I've said, beaten teams that they were not supposed to, but that's just what everybody thinks about them. You know, they didn't have the best start to the season. I think they're a much better team than their record shows, and you saw that tonight, especially on their home court. Missouri's played us very well at home in the past as well, even outside of this year. So Quanzo Martin's a great coach. Look, I walk away from this game not wanting to face them again because we got out of there by the skin of our teeth, literally, absolutely just by the skin of our teeth. And Riley is celebrating whatever we all are celebrating right now. And yes, that is Alabama losing. We could celebrate doubly tonight to not take the loss. Love to see Jabari not pouting and keeping his composure. Definitely a bad game for him, but also a game he can learn from. Well, since you brought up Jabari, let's take a look at his stat line here. Jabari Smith on the night, 5 points, 2 for 15. 2 for 15 from the field, 1 for 7 from three-point land. No free throws for him tonight. He does get 10 rebounds. Got to give him that. An assist, and he stayed out of foul trouble. Surprisingly, everyone outside of Dylan Cardwell tonight stayed out of foul trouble. What's up with that? That's just absolutely crazy. Not a great game stat-wise for him, but still he makes a difference just by having him in the game, even when he's not scoring points. His 10 rebounds tonight and 12 from Kessler contributing to him were absolutely essential to this game going to the Tigers' favor tonight. You could keep this going on forever, Jerry. A win is a win is a win is a win. Jabari's going to have to work that ball handling and attacking tonight. I think everybody found ways to improve tonight. There are a lot of holes that I think were exposed again and should help everybody understand why maybe some people still don't view us as the number one team, some pollsters. And we earned a lot of respect on our home court. But this is, I think, some of the questions that people still have about Auburn is that, what do they do on the road? What is exposed when they don't have the shield of the jungle? And everybody has that. It's not just Auburn. But those are some of the things that were exposed tonight. I agree, Got to get back to jungle, and get things started again. Big Simp in the house. Good to see you. Goes to show you the SI cover for Jabari on it. It said Auburn in #1, and he's the reason why we are a team. Well, I would say that was just for fun, but yes, I understand your point on that. Big time rebounding game by Cambridge. The Mustard Tigers played hard defense tonight. The Mustard Tigers. Interesting. Never heard them referred to as, the Mustard Tigers. But since you brought up Devin Cambridge, let's talk about him. 4 points for him tonight, 2 for 8 from the field. Missed his 3-pointers, missed his free throws. But yes, 9 rebounds. The rebounding game is probably what saved Auburn tonight overall. And that's credit to Kessler. That's credit to Jabari, and especially Devin Cambridge, who stepped up in a way why you see why it's so hard to not start him, because even though he's not your top scorer, he provides athleticism and just a ferocity that's only matched and beaten by KD Johnson. Very physical game. They let them play for a while, and then they got kind of ticky-tacky for a little bit. It was really, really weird. Bruce said our offense was terrible. Well, I think there was a stretch of about, I want to say it was like 5 to 7 minutes where we scored like 4 points. And that was from like the 5-minute mark, maybe the 5 minutes left in the game to the 10-minute mark or so, somewhere right there in the middle of the second half. And it was just frustrating to watch. And it was, yes, we took some bad shots. We did. Absolutely. But the ball just wasn't going in. There was like 4 looks in a row underneath the basket where Kessler had to look at it, Cambridge had to look at it, Jabari had to look, and it just would like roll out and bounce off. And it was one of those nights where everything was working against you and you still found a way to win. And that's what champions do, right? That's what #1 teams do. They find a way to win even when it's not going your way. And that's a good thing to take away from tonight. Let's see here. Let me back down, getting a little behind in some of the comments. That Missouri team's deceptively good. Got to give them credit. I can't get out. Everybody's talking about them being the Mustard Tigers. But yes, now I've got that stuck in my head. That's pretty funny. Brody, thanks for stopping in, man. Glad you got to stop by for a little bit. Are we still going to troll on Twitter? Well, I'm sure some of our fellow fans are at work with that tonight, doing, I was going to say the Lord's work. That seems like a little bit sacrilegious. The encouraging thing is that Auburn averages 81 points and one scoring only 55. What the interesting thing about that is Damian Fishbag and I forget the guy who usually is on the call with him. They were talking about that tonight, that they thought the only way Missouri wins is if they get the score up into the 70s. And the opposite happened, and Auburn almost lost. Well, I mean, it kind of proved true. If they didn't get up into the 70s, that being Missouri, they were going to lose. But I don't think they anticipated Missouri's defense doing that well against Auburn. Lee says the first test for the men's team as the #1 team in the nation, we passed it with a 55-54 road win over Missouri. Chris Ray, sloppy games happen. Just shows that AU has to run more set plays. I think in certain situations, yes. But one of the beautiful things about Bruce Pearl is that he allows his players to be creative and allows them to make mistakes. And I think that kind of helps the team gel a little bit. And yes, you could do a little bit more structure, but having that freedom, I can tell you from personal experience, is just it's unmatched in what it makes you feel as in a trust situation between coach and player, and helping develop that between other players as well. But yes, there are probably some situations where it could have benefited tonight from that. All right, quick, let me take a pause from the comments for a second here. I'm going to tell you what happened to me at the end of the game. I don't know if it was just the pure anxiety of realizing that we were about to lose this game or close to it. That last shot that Missouri hit, I had it in my head that they had just gone up by 1. And I don't know if I blacked out or what, but when we went down there and missed the shot, the several shots with the ball going out of bounds as time expired, I thought we had just lost the game. And then all of a sudden, the TV announcers are saying Auburn wins, regulation over, it's done. And I'm just like, what is going on? I had convinced myself somehow that Auburn had won. And I think it was just me in a pure anxious state going like, this is really going to happen to us again. This is such an Auburn thing. And so that's kind of what my experience was. I wanted to share that with you guys because I was, I always am preparing this show for you guys right before the game ends. And I had to kind of stop for a second and catch myself. I was like, oh, it's not going to be a fun stream. But here we are talking about a win with 70 something people already watching. So thank you guys. What a great crowd here tonight. While we've taken a break from the comments for a second, actually, we've got a caller in. One of our Booster Club members is here, so let's say hello to him. You know him, you love him, Mr. Dusty. What is up, sir? Dusty, how you feeling?
I'm a little stressed out, but it's okay.
Yeah, I can tell when you got your hoodie up still, you probably like using it for comfort, just like just trying to keep
Well,
yourself like.
I worked a 10-hour day and then left the heater off all day, so the apartment was kind of cold. I got warmed up in time for the game.
I got you. Well,
Still
how
heating
you
this
feeling,
thing up.
man? How you feeling though?
Honestly, man, like I got the screenshots to prove it. My brother, my little brother, and my dad were freaking out, and I just kept saying, "It's okay, it's okay." It's just I was thinking about the game today at work, and I just figured it was going to be kind of one of these ugly deals because you had such an emotional game Saturday. You're number one
Yep.
for the first time, all that kind of stuff. How you doing, Linda? I appreciate you. Um, it we found a way to win with our best player having his worst game, and that was his first game like that, really. So, you know, it's a SEC road win. Those are going to be tough, and we just found a way to get it done, not playing a good game at all. And like when I say not playing a good game, we didn't play a good game offensively. We still held them to 50 points. Like
Yep.
that, you do that, you're going to win most of these games. I mean, you can play bad offensively when you're as good as we are defensively.
Yep. Yeah, and think about it this way too. We're 6. It wasn't that bad. 6 for 28 from 3 points. If we knock down even 3 of those in some crucial moments, this is a much different game. It's still probably close the way that Missouri was playing tonight, but it's not, this, frantic me. But I don't know if you heard me saying when you were logging in, I had thought we lost the game.
Yeah,
I was
J.R. Smith over there.
I literally was just wondering, like back here, it's like, how am I going to process this on this live stream? And then they're like, Auburn wins. I'm like, what? I thought we just lost by 1. So
Yeah.
clearly I'm not
Wow.
ready to be number 1 and can't handle the pressure.
No, I expected it, man. I've actually caught like the tail end of a couple of their games. And they're I don't know their whole situation as far as how long that coach has been there and all that, but that group of kids fights hard. So I expected a tough game on the road, and not that tough, but hey man, you talk about what you said 6 for 28 from the 3-point line.
Yep.
There's we don't have Berman.
Yep.
Our
Missing him.
best 3-point shooter's not out there, so that contributes to that as well. And Jabari's not going to have another game like that.
Right. And then Wendell was hurt during the middle of it, and that affected. I mean, I know he
Yeah,
didn't
glad to
shoot
see
a
that.
ton after that, so that kind of hurt him a little bit on that. I mean, there were just so many weird things that happened tonight that just were not going Auburn's way, and they still found a way to win. And I've already said it once, that's what champions do. That's what number 1 teams do. It doesn't mean number 1 doesn't mean it's a cakewalk for you. Number 1 means everybody's going to give you their best game. And you got to make sure that even if you're playing your worst game, it's just 1 point better. And that's what Auburn did tonight. 1 point better than their best game. So sorry, Missouri, but it took you, your best game against us, and we still beat you.
Oh, I'm sure they had memes lined up, and they were
Can you
just
imagine?
about ready to shoot them off. There was probably other SEC fan bases that had made burner accounts pretending to be Missouri fans, because guys, why are y'all so mad at us? Kentucky's still talking, and I've never seen a crowd like Missouri's tonight. I watch a bunch of sports. I've never seen an overrated chant when you took the L. You lost the game.
So
That's
your
it.
expectations of yourself as a program is moral victories. That's what I gather from that. And John Calipari's still crying.
We got Dusty going tonight, folks. He's feeling it.
Well, I just, what are y'all so mad about? We're an awesome school. Honestly, I've been to so many Auburn events where the visiting people have been like, hey, man, y'all are the nicest fans. Now, I know we're peacocking this year, but y'all did that to us.
Yep.
Like, y'all created this monster. So now you get to deal with it.
Yep. Yeah. You messed with the bull and now you're getting the horns. And that's what happens with it. Listen, I think most people, it's kind of like Murray State is the perfect example. They realize that it's all a gag and it's a joke. And don't take it so personally. And
Yeah,
it's
don't
like
get upset.
the SEC is just taking it so personally and coming in. Listen, okay, we also need to take a step back and realize we've never faced the pressure and the attention. The like this, I mean, and just to be real, this is what Kentucky does deal with most years. Let's just be honest. But at the same time, it does feel a little bit over the top, about this because I've complimented Missouri tonight. I've said how great I think they played.
Yeah,
I
play
still
hard.
think they're a pretty good team, but I also got to be honest. And you already brought it up. You alluded to it. You're chanting "Bruce, you suck" while one of our players is down hurt. That's messed up.
You don't know the
That
severity of that injury. And there was a particular guy, he got pointed out on Twitter several times, that was pointing at Wendell when he was on the ground. Like,
mhm.
come on, man.
It was bad. It was a bad showing, and I think most Missouri fans, everything happens in the heat of the moment, and I'm sure there were Missouri fans in the stands like, "Shut up," like, "Why are we doing
Right.
this? Let's
Of
not
course.
be this."
Of course.
And so this is not an indictment upon the entire Missouri team program, but it is, it's just a bad look. It's a very bad look, and I would be
Very
the
bad
most
tonight.
furious one if it was an Auburn fan base doing that. I'd be furious about that. So I'm sure there are some as well. Anyway,
Yeah, no, I've seen them. I've seen Auburn fans check Auburn fans before in the middle of
it,
games.
it,
Okay, that's not what we're about here.
so Dusty, what's the one thing tonight that Auburn has to take away from this Missouri 55-54 win to make sure this doesn't happen again? What do you think we need to do better?
Honestly, Kyle, I view it as a positive. So in film, it gives Bruce a ton of things to look at and say you've got to do this better, you got to do that. Um, but like it just shows you the depth because with Jabari playing the way he played tonight, and when I say that, I'm just talking about shooting. He still played great defensively. He still, I don't know if he finished. I know he had 9. I don't know if he finished with 10 rebounds or not, but
10 rebounds. Yep.
he then so he got double-digit rebounds. So like, there's still other aspects of the game where he played well. He just didn't shoot it well, and then like that's where the depth shows up. So okay, so KD took over, and we've seen in other games down the stretch this season where Wendell's been the guy. Devin Cambridge made huge plays tonight. Also, we're going to be in these games in the SEC tournament. We're going to be in some games like this in March Madness where things just aren't going our way. We're missing layups, and Missouri was hitting some wild shots. Like that stuff's just going to happen. Bruce is a good coach, and honestly, I would rather us have won the game this way than have blown them out by 20 points.
Yeah, there's something to that. Iron is forged through fire. And this is what has to happen sometimes. It's not necessarily a wake up call. It's just a testing of what are you going to do when it's not going your way? Are you going to
Yeah, no,
respond? Go ahead.
I was gonna say and it shows you what you got. You were the first game when you were number 1. So
Mm-hmm.
now you see the targets on your back, like Damien and them talked about all night. By the way, shout out to ESPN. Your basketball announcers are so much better than your football announcers.
Dusty's getting everybody in tonight on the. But hey, man. Hey, listen. I know I love your perspectives as always. You bring a fresh take of balanced thoughts on this, so I appreciate you calling in tonight.
Yes, I appreciate you. War Eagle to everybody. Let's keep having fun, man. Let's all keep being positive on Twitter. Let's all keep putting out the positive energy. I love y'all,
All
Auburn
right,
Nation. War Eagle. Appreciate you, Kyle.
War Eagle. Thanks for calling in. That's Dusty, one of our regulars. Thank you for calling in, sir. There's a question that was asked earlier, and I know it's not necessarily basketball related. I'll get back to that one in a second, but I want to give my shout out to my friend Blake here, because Blake watches us on Facebook a lot. Most of you know that our Facebook page has not been existent for a while. We're going through a little bit of an issue there. It's not even worth getting into here. It's just actually a humongous misunderstanding. But glad you came over here and found this over here, Blake, because I've missed seeing you in our calls and seeing your comments and stuff like that. So if you know anybody else that's been watching on Facebook, tell them we're working on it, and you can come here in the meantime to watch that. Devin checking in for us. Sorry I'm late. Count was at 2,448 responses in 30 minutes. Also Kentucky in a tight win with Mississippi State. Alabama lost tonight. What a night. All right, Leanne, thank you. That was your question. I know it was a longer version of it. What does my shirt say? It says Attack, Legacy, Vision, Auburn, and I forget who's there's a signature down here. It's a fake, obviously a reprinted signature. This is a J&M bookstore shirt. I think this is a baseball shirt. I have a closet of shirts that I don't regularly wear because they're not my favorites, but I want to give you guys some variety to look at and not think I just have like one shirt to wear. So that's why this one was pulled out tonight. All right, let me get back to some comments and questions real quick, and then I want to give you a little bit of who our show is brought to you by, all that kind of stuff. But let's see what you guys are saying here. I just watched the inning, so I finally know what is going on. Let's see here. When Wendell went down, my heart dropped to my stomach. We are not the same team without him. Thoughts? Yeah, well, it's, I mean, not to be redundant here, but I mean, you're not the same team when anybody goes down. So look at what happened here. And again, it's a little bit different situation. So Kentucky fans, take a chill pill if you watch this. You lost your guy for the rest of the game. And for several games that we lost our guy for 10 minutes. Okay. When one team goes down, or excuse me, when a player goes down, what happens to your team? Do they fall apart? Maintain? Do they get better? In this situation, I would say we maintained because we were playing terrible the entire night on offense. But yes, we are much different. The big thing is the depth in the front court, especially at point guard with Wendell not there. Thankfully, he was able to come back. He definitely makes a humongous difference. But we are still a very solid team, even without Wendell Green. But yes, he brings so much to the table that you hate not to see that. That guy out there. Carlos from Mexicali. That's one of our more interesting ones that we see on there. Thoughts on Flanagan since his return? Still seems a little kind of getting back in the groove of things. Not all the way completely back there, but hey, it is what it is. Ryan, I told you that when you called in, I can't, if I move, I'm going to rock everything here. I would show the item that I told you that I'd show on the screen, but you'll have to come back for another one. Hang on. All right. This is going to be really awkward. I think I can get it. All right. This is a little bit PG-13, but I promised him, because this is Brian's my cousin, and he bought this for me for, for Christmas. So I promised him I would show it one time. So I'm sorry. I know this is a family-friendly show, but we're just going to get it out of the way one time. It's got E2C Network on it. Good stuff, Kyle. I'm all bricked up. Kids, ask your parents. Sorry about that. I promised him I would do it. Josh, let's move on from that very quickly as my face turns with bright red. How do you see Saturday against Oklahoma shaping out? Good to be back home, so hopefully our shots drop again. Love the show. Appreciate that. Thank you for the kind words, Josh. How do I see Oklahoma, the Oklahoma game, Big 12? It's going to be exciting, a lot of energy. I think the standing room only tickets are even more expensive now, but I do think obviously we'll play a lot better at home. Oklahoma has not been as good as they typically are. I expect a strong fight from them, but I would hope that in a home situation, we do pull away at the end of the game to at least close to a double-digit lead. That's what I think should happen. Doesn't mean it will. I expected a close game from Missouri. Not this close. I'm still like catching my breath from that thing, guys. It was scary there for a minute. Flanagan probably had his worst game of the year. Way too many turnovers. Goes head down mode when driving to the basket. Doesn't look like to play off two and pass out when driving. I'd have to go back and watch some of the plays that he was in, but I wouldn't say that he's playing his best basketball right now, but I wouldn't expect him to be. He is blessed with great talent all around him, and he hasn't really been forced to get back into that groove that quickly yet. I see Alan Flanagan having a similar trajectory and story like D'Angelo Purifoy did 2019. Yes. 18. Anyway, the championship run or the Final Four run where he was just lights out in postseason play. I see that coming with Alan Flanagan, just to be honest with you. Let's see here. Did anyone have a good game? Let's see here. Stat line. We got Katie Johnson, 17 points. If you just want to look at stats and things like that. Kessler had a pretty decent game, double for him, 13 points, 12 rebounds. I think those two had your best game. I would argue that Devin Cambridge, even with only 4 points, probably is in that category as well, rebounding so well, which is not typical for him. Jalen Williams tonight, very quiet statistically game, but also comes in at the right moments. And when someone comes off the bench, the true test of what they mean to that team is what happens when they come on the floor. Do mistakes happen, or do you actually do your job, but also make plays that people aren't expecting you to make coming off the bench? That's what Jalen Williams does. And Jalen Williams is probably, I would argue, I could have a very strong argument that he's one of the more valuable players on this basketball team because of what he means to that team in moments like that. I'm glad we had a wake-up call without it being an L. Well, sometimes that has to happen. And don't think for a moment, Auburn fans, don't think for a moment that an L's not coming. It's coming at some point unless you win out the entirety of the year. So just prepare yourself. It's coming. Hopefully it's not at home. Hopefully it's against someone who's ranked. All those things. But it'll come at some point, and it almost happened tonight. Zepp was wrapped. I'm guessing are you talking about on his leg or his arms? Or are you talking about in terms of him I'm not exactly sure what you're getting at there, Chris. Oh, it is intense. Well, you'll have to keep me updated there on that one. F. Scott Fitzbeagle. Coach Pearl thought Mizzou was pretty good before the game. Yes, a lot of people do, and you should too. Missouri is a very good team. This isn't Alabama losing to Georgia on the road. This is Auburn nearly losing to Missouri, who has been doing this to a lot of other teams. Georgia is a bad basketball team. Alabama had no business losing to them. Of course, I've said that, and y'all can screenshot it and whatever. And if we lose to them at some point in the rest of the season. All right, let me take a short little intermission here to remind you one thing. We'll get back to comments and questions. Great crowd tonight, by the way. Keep smashing that like button if you haven't done so. Incredible crowd here tonight, guys. You are always the best. Our show is brought to you by the E2C Network Booster Club. You can find that at patreon.com/E2C Network. You can sign up. People like Dusty called in earlier tonight. Only the Booster Club members can call in. But on our Wednesday night regular show, anybody can call in. But if you'd like to have access to that and other exclusive things, go over to patreon.com/E2C Network. There's a link in the description. $1 a month is all it takes. You can sign up there. There's also other ways in the description to help our content here on this channel and keep it coming out tonight. I keep bringing that comment up, and I don't know why. Apologies in advance. But that is what the show is brought to you by today. Let's get back to some of your comments and questions. Frederick, good to see you. Overtime for Kentucky. Now, here's the thing is we got to root for Kentucky. We got to root for Missouri now for the rest of the season. These teams that, we got to root for UConn who beat us. These teams that are our best wins or close wins, we really got to make sure that they look good. So just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Dusty, I have never in my life seen such a good coach have such a bad team. And I know he lost a ton. He lost Severe Wheeler, who's at Kentucky, Katie, who's with us, but my goodness, they are bad. They are absolutely bad. His hand was taped, can't right or left. Just wondering if he was banged up for Kentucky, or does he have that way every game? I don't remember it happening in previous games, so I wouldn't be surprised if it happened during Kentucky. I thought you were referring to, he seemed to kind of, the refs are catching on to some of his, I don't mean it the way it sounds, but antics with the way he defends. There's a certain theatricality that you kind of have to sell some of the things that he gets, even though it's legit. And it seemed like he had 2 personal fouls tonight, and those happened pretty quick. I was a little bit concerned about that. So one of the big things when Wendell went out was, could the guards that we have, especially those that play point guard, Zepp, Katie, stay out of foul trouble? Both of them had 2 when that happened. That doesn't seem like a lot, but that can rack up really quick, which means then you're stuck with Cambridge maybe helping out at the guard position. Maybe Jalen Williams. It could have got real dicey there. Without Laura Behrman, things could have gotten a little trouble. If we played UConn at this point, do you think how do you think it would turn out we'd win? We almost, it took them double overtimes, almost a triple overtime to beat us, and they had a humongous lead against us. We beat them at this point in the season. We are now meshed, and we know how we work together. Allen's been inserted back in, even though he's still not playing his best yet. It's coming. I believe it is. We would definitely beat them at this point. Kevin, we've been talking about that a lot with Katie Johnson tonight. It does feel like we go from, Jabari is the player. Okay, well, how about this? Player of the game tonight. Who was your player of the game? I know it seems kind of obvious, but if you've got a case for somebody else, post that in the chat right now. Who was your player of the game tonight? Even if you guys think everybody else is going to give your answer, do it anyway. Let's give the man some shout outs if he deserves it tonight. The easy answer, I would say. I'm still going to argue for guys like probably Cambridge and Kessler, but I think there's an obvious answer tonight. It's pretty awesome. Game ball goes to Katie. Yep, here they're all coming in now. It's pretty obvious who that probably goes tonight. The way that he closed out the game for us is just unmatched. Devin Cambridge, Price Brown. The entire defense was the player of the game. Well said. While you guys are writing those in, let's look at some of these stats, because the offensive ones, excuse me for knocking that, are just horrendous. But when you look at some of the defensive stats, so you've got 6 steals tonight, 6 blocks, points in the paint, 22. Missouri, we allowed defensive rebounds for us. We did lose that battle 23-28 with Missouri winning that one, but we won the total rebounding battle there. So it's just one of those situations where turnovers, Missouri had 13. Here's the thing is, Missouri tonight was creating our turnovers, but then they would do stupid stuff like throw the ball out of bounds. Missouri was their own worst enemy tonight. They had us in the palm of their hands and let it go. That's not good. That is not good. If not for Katie, we lose. Probably right. At least at the end of the game there. Probably not wrong there. Doug, Tom Crean was going around to everyone after the game like he had won a national championship. Doug, I noticed that too. And I think something else was going on there. Not to kind of make it all serious right now, but I was asking my wife, does this strike you as something else was going on here? I'm not certain that there was. I don't have any information or anything like that. It just struck me as odd. Maybe it was as simple as that. He thought he had just beaten the best team ever and was going up and celebrating. I think something else was going on there, but I'm just going to leave it at that for now. Auburn making their C days everyone else's A days. Isn't it the Auburn way? Cambridge for not knocking out number 4 multiple times. Dude was trying to pick a fight the whole game. He definitely was trying to pick a fight tonight. There was a physical game to this. There was a almost overly emotional game tonight. There's always emotions in a basketball game, no matter what you do, in sports in general. But tonight, it just felt like Missouri was kind of making it overly emotional at times. And I get why. You have a chance to knock off the number one team in your home court. You think you could sell out your arena for that? Couldn't. But they almost did it. Almost did it. I'm not even watching. I don't have it on the screen or anything. So it's interesting. I'm probably going to let you guys get back to that here in just a second. Defense travels. Offense can be off the road. A humbling win. I think that's the best way to look at it. Humbling in the sense that just because you're number one doesn't mean you're untouchable. And that's what we as fans need to take away. And I think the team already knew that, but it's a nice, tangible reminder that we have to take care of business. We cannot lose the free throw battle. 64% tonight, 7 of 11. Cannot lose that. You cannot lose the rebound battle, which we ended up winning overall. Cannot lose the turnover situation, which we barely won that situation. Those things, small things like that, are what going to win the games like this time and time again. Auburn took care, in my opinion, three most important categories. If they had not taken care of one of those other ones, this could have been a much different story tonight. Can't hate Mizzou. They almost got the win, so smart game plan, unfortunately, almost doesn't count. It's not horseshoes, right? All right, I'm going to let you guys get back to the Kentucky game tonight. Thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight. I am actually shocked that we have this large of a crowd tonight. I think we reached about almost 140 tonight. You guys are absolutely awesome. Do me a couple of favors on your way out. Make sure you smash that like button if you haven't. It does help the stream out. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Hit that notification bell so you know when we go live, when we have a upload. We're going to be doing our best memes of this win over Missouri tomorrow. About 1 o'clock, it'll drop. And we got podcasts galore all week. All week. Equestrian tomorrow. Track on Thursday or Friday, one of the two, and probably basketball Thursday or Friday, one of the two, depending on when they get it to me. Content galore for you guys. You can get the podcasts anywhere, but they will be here on YouTube as well. I really appreciate you guys being here. Check out some of those links in the description for ways you can help support our content, like becoming a channel member here. Again, you are the best little family within all of the Auburn family, and I appreciate you guys so much. And War Eagle, take a deep breath. We're still number one.